Hey everyone, it's early January and I finally got my December Retro Game Treasure box. So let's go over everything I managed to add to the collection for the months of October, November, and December of 2023. First off, this is going to be a pretty light pickups video as I had terrible luck at the thrift stores and honestly found nothing I wanted to grab. But let's start off with the Retro Game Treasure boxes. Just quick, a friendly reminder for everyone. Retro Game Treasure is a monthly subscription service that sends video games right to your door. You can specify what consoles you want to collect for, as well as what games you already own to avoid doubles, and you can update your settings at any time. It should also be noted that I am a subscriber. They did not send me anything for a review. They have no idea I'm making this video and have no influence over what I say. And with that out of the way, let's check out what they sent me for the month of October 2023. First up, for the original Nintendo, they sent me Captain Skyhawk. This is a game I have heard of, but definitely never played. With this type of name, I have to assume it's a flight game, but I guess we'll find out shortly when we test it. The cartridge is really clean, with almost no dirt on it at all, and the label is almost perfect. There is a small tear on the right side, and it is noticeable even though it's small, but for such an old game, I consider it to be really good. Next up, we have Super Empire Strikes Back. The front label and cartridge look to be pretty good, however, the back has a lot of markings and rips. In fact, it even looks like there's a bit of a burn mark on it, which is kinda surprising. This is actually a really good addition for me though, as I now have all three Star Wars games for the Super Nintendo. Even though I don't really think they're great games, I am a Star Wars fan, and I'm happy to have them. And to end the box, we have Tony Hawk Pro Skater for the Nintendo 64. This is super cool in my mind. I love these games. I actually started with Tony Hawk 2 growing up, so this is one I didn't play much back in the day, but I played a lot on the remastered version that came out not that long ago. As for the cartridge itself, it looks to be in really good condition. No rips or tears. Some small scratches, but nothing too noticeable. And a little bit of dirt, but overall, it's really nice. Next, let's open up the games, check out the boards, give them a test, and see what their current values are according to PriceCharting.com. I will say right from the beginning, every game you're going to see in this video looks like they're real copies. While I have had issues in the past from Retro Game Treasure, just to save a bit of time, I'm letting you know in advance that everything looks good to me. First up, Captain Skyhawk on the original Nintendo, and the game is a flight combat game. It controls pretty well. In fact, it actually moves faster and smoother than I expected, which is a pleasant surprise. As for a loose copy, it's currently valued at $3.74 American or $5 even Canadian. Next is Super Empire Strikes Back for the Super Nintendo, and the game looks great. It has bright colors and the graphics look really good. However, I'm not a crazy fan of the gameplay. Instantly in the first level, it's pretty relentless in terms of enemies and combat. I'm not surprised, as the other Super Nintendo Star Wars games play in a similar fashion, so I knew what to expect. Currently, the game is valued at $12.95 American or 17.31 Canadian. And to end the first box, we have Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and this is fantastic. Honestly, the N64 button layout threw me off since it's been so long since I've played it, but as it came back to me, I started having an absolute blast. It's pretty amazing how well some of these older games can hold up. As for its current value, a loose copy of Tony Hawk Pro Skater goes for $10.02 American or 13.39 Canadian. In my opinion, this is one of the best games Retro Game Treasure has ever sent me, so let's see if they can top it. Now, let's move on to the box for November 2023, starting with Art of Fighting for the Super Nintendo. This is an interesting one. I know SNK has some really good fighting games, although I have no idea if this is one of them. The label itself looks to be in decent shape, while the cartridge is pretty dirty, especially the back side of it, but it does seem like the type of thing that can just be cleaned. Next, for the original Nintendo, we have Milon's Secret Castle, and I have no idea what this game is. I have never heard of this before, so I have zero idea as to what the gameplay is going to look like. Getting games you've never heard of is always the risk with these types of boxes, although both the label and cartridge look to be in pretty good condition. After that, we have WWF WrestleMania for the original Nintendo. I'm always happy to get more and more wrestling games, even though I'm pretty sure this isn't a very good game. I really enjoy wrestling, so just adding it to the collection is a plus in my mind. This cartridge and label actually look to be in near perfect condition, almost as if it's barely been used, which I really appreciate. And finally, to end the box, we have a GameCube game, which is basically the same size as the box, so it's always a pain to take out. And it's the Fantastic Four for the GameCube. While I like Marvel and comic book stuff in general, the Fantastic Four has never really been the Marvel property I lean towards. As for the game itself, the case looks to be in decent shape, although there is a rip in the sleeve by the game's rating, and the disc looks like it was both a rental, as it has a sticker on it, but also looks like it was owned by someone named Clay R, with that being written on the disc with Sharpie. So I think this game has definitely been through a lot. It's also missing the manual, which sucks, but considering I think it used to be a rental, that doesn't really surprise me. The one thing about doubles from Retro Game Treasure that you need to worry about is doubles from different consoles. I actually have this for the original Xbox, so in that sense, they sent me a double because it's definitely inputted in my already owned section. However, I didn't already have it on the GameCube, so I can understand why they wouldn't consider it a double. Just something for you to consider and be warned about. Checking out the games, Art of Fighting for the Super Nintendo is a classic fighting game, and it looks really good. But damn, was I terrible at it. In fact, I couldn't even figure out how to beat the first dude, but that could just be because I'm terrible at fighting games in general. As for a loose copy, it currently goes for 13.19 American or 17.63 Canadian. Next is Mylon's Secret Castle for the original Nintendo, and I have no idea what's happening in this game. It does seem to be a platformer with some maze and puzzle elements. It does control decently well, but not a ton of information on what to do. A loose copy of the game is currently valued at $9.81 American or 13.11 Canadian. Staying with the original Nintendo, WWF WrestleMania, naturally, is a wrestling game. This game definitely feels pretty limited in terms of character selection and moves available, but the core concept still works. It definitely took me a while to figure out how to do anything other than punch and kick, but once I did, there is some fun to be had with it. As of right now, the game is valued at $6.99 American or $9.34 Canadian. And to end the box for November, we have the copy of Fantastic Four for the GameCube. Now, price charting doesn't show values for boxed copies without the manuals, so I'm going to show you the loose copy price as I feel that gives a better representation instead of showing a complete in box price. So the loose price for Fantastic Four is currently at $4 even American or $5.35 Canadian. While not a great game by any means, you do get to play as all the different characters, and they each have their own abilities. Some better than others, obviously, but there's definitely a good time to be had with each person. And now, for the final Retro Game Treasure box for the video, and the final box of the year of 2023, we have the box for December, starting with a copy of Star Fox 64. This is a fantastic game, and I'm always surprised to see first party games in these boxes. The cartridge has one of those extra label stickers on the top, which I don't really mind, but none of my other games have that, so it'll definitely look a little out of place. As for the rest of the cartridge, though, it looks to be in relatively nice condition. Next, for the Super Nintendo, we have Desert Strike Return to the Gulf. This is another game that I've never heard of before, so I have no idea what type of gameplay this is going to be. So, we can find out together shortly. As for the front of the game, it looks to be in decent condition, whereas the back label has a pretty big rip in it, although nowhere near as bad as some of the other games they sent me over the years. And to end the box, we have another GameCube game. And as you can see, every time, no matter what, it's always a struggle to get these cases out of the box. But when I finally get it, we can see it's Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius Attack of the Twonkies for the Nintendo GameCube. I actually have very little knowledge of Jimmy Neutron as it's not something I actually grew up with. The case looks to be pretty worn out and the game is missing the manual, but the disc itself looks to be in really good condition. There's a very minimal amount of scratches on it. I have no idea what the gameplay is going to look like. However, I know a lot of these types of licensed games during this generation were 3D platformers with some sort of collection aspect to it, so I'm definitely expecting it to be one of those types of games. While Retro Game Treasure has done a good job of sending me Marvel and wrestling games and things like that in the past, they definitely do send me a lot of kid-friendly licensed games as well. But for now, let's take these games apart, check out the boards, and give them a quick test. Moving on to checking the games, we have Star Fox 64. First up, this is a fantastic game and one I grew up with. Second, I actually already own this game. I still have my childhood copy. Years ago, when I signed up, I actually wanted to test something, so I didn't add certain big name first party Nintendo games to my already owned list because I wanted to see if Retro Game Treasure would actually send out big named first party games like this. Mario 64, Smash Brothers, Star Fox, and other games that I know the general public would be interested in getting from this type of service, I left as unowned just to see if they would actually ever send out these type of games. And it turns out they do, eventually. As for the price of the game, it currently goes for $21.93 American or 29.31 Canadian. Now, I didn't open up the cartridge as it would have completely ruined the sticker on top, and I know it's not an official label or anything like that, but I didn't want to have to rip the sticker in half, so I just left it alone. Second in the box is Desert Strike Return to the Gulf for the Super Nintendo, and this seems like an aerial combat game with missions to be completed. The game controls decently well, however, I felt like the targeting of enemies was pretty flawed. The visuals in the game were pretty good, however, and it definitely seemed to be a bit more complicated than I was expecting. As for the price, it's currently valued at $10 even American or 13.36 Canadian. And finally, the last Retro Game Treasure game for the 3 month period is the copy of Jimmy Neutron Attack of the Twonkies, which honestly just sounds like something I shouldn't be saying. This seems like a 3D puzzle platformer where you can build and create a bunch of items and inventions to help solve all the puzzles. It controls alright, but it's definitely not the best, and from what I played, the first two areas were extremely dark at the default brightness settings. If I'm going to put any real time into the game, I'm going to have to adjust that accordingly. With the same idea as the Fantastic Four game from earlier, because this is missing the manual, I looked at the loose price for this, and it's currently sitting at $8.93 American or 11.93 Canadian. And that does it for all the Retro Game Treasure stuff for these 3 months. But I did manage to get a few new games over this period of time, basically all over the course of the holiday period as gifts from people. So let's start off with Xbox. I was gifted both Sonic Superstars and Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Sonic Superstars is a decent Sonic game so far, but I haven't had it for very long and I haven't beaten it yet. It looks great in terms of bright and vibrant visuals, but I do feel like it's a Sonic game that doesn't do anything too spectacular. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is a game I actually haven't started yet because I haven't watched the second movie. I have no idea if they're related storyline wise or not, but if they are, then I definitely want to watch the movie before giving this game a try. Moving from Xbox to the PlayStation 5, I was gifted both Forspoken and Gotham Knights, and while I haven't tried Forspoken yet, I am aware that a lot of people say it isn't the greatest of games, but that's okay, I'm willing to give it a fair try. Whereas I did start Gotham Knights, and this game took way too long to let me start actually playing. It felt like a 20-minute cutscene before I could even move a character. The game feels a little generic so far, but not bad in any capacity. I also told the person who got them for me to do it during a certain sale because they were on a pretty large discount, so I figured that would be the perfect time to pick them up. And one of the few games I picked up on release day, I grabbed Marvel Spider-Man 2, and this is a game I've already beaten and platinumed. I absolutely loved this game. Almost everything in the game was upgraded from the previous games, and once I started, I basically couldn't put it down until I 100%ed it. Finally, moving to Nintendo, I was gifted Super Mario RPG for the Switch, and while I've barely started this, I know it's a great game. I've already beaten the original version on the Super Nintendo Classic and was gifted a physical copy on the Super Nintendo from a friend of mine. So while I have almost no time into the new version, I know I'll have a blast whenever I do get to it. And the last game I picked up, on the same day as Spider-Man 2, I picked up Super Mario Wonder, and this game was a blast. I have beaten the game, I rolled credits, but I haven't 100%ed it yet. It is something that I think I'm going to do over the course of time, but I'm in no rush to actually do it right now. When I bought the game from my local GameStop, it actually came with a free pin set. Weirdly enough, none of them are Super Mario Wonder pins. I assume they're left over from an old promotion for a different Mario Switch game, but either way, I think they look really good, and I'm happy to take them for free. And there we have it. Every game I got over the end of 2023 and the Retro Game Treasure boxes over the months as well. I know way less pickups than any of my other videos, but that's just how it goes sometimes. You'll never have perfect luck at thrift stores, but the games I did get are pretty great and games that I'm happy to add. Spider-Man 2, Mario RPG, and Tony Hawk 1 are some of the highlights in my mind, but I'm curious to know, what games did you get over the holidays? Be sure to let me know down in the comments. I'm always interested to know what you're playing these days. If you enjoyed the video, then please don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And be sure to subscribe if you're new here. If you want to check out what I picked up earlier in 2023, then be sure to check out this video right here.